Did you even realize the Panthers were on a bye this week?
No, I did not.
That's the point.
For the win!
Hello and welcome back to the Eastern Sport Report, your father-son coach-player podcast about the Sacramento Kings and San Francisco 49ers. I'm your host, Max Easton, joined once again by my co-host, Steven Eastman.
Hello, Max. How you doing there today?
Sports-wise, not
good.
great. Not good.
Okay.
Not been a fun week to be sort of fun week for being a Kings fan. Not a fun week to be a Niners fan.
No. We'll get to the Niners therapy session eventually later.
Yeah.
We will get there. This, sometimes as I was talking, to my wife, your mom, sports talk, sports radio, podcasts, they're kind of like male therapy sessions.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to talk out our emotions. So when we get to the Niners, we get to talk out our emotions. And this is how we have therapy sessions on our sports teams. So, therapy session of the Niners coming soon.
So,
second half of this podcast.
What even happened at the start? What even happened at the start of this week for the Kings?
So the Kings. So last time we were recording, which was on Veterans Day,
that was a while ago.
it was only like 8 days ago.
A week.
The Kings were playing live against the Spurs.
Oh, it was that game,
and they lost.
Forgot about that.
They
game.
lost to the Spurs, and they shot like they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn that day. Literally, they shot 26% from three. It was a horrible shooting game. They lost by 20 to the Spurs. You're like, you should not be losing by 20 to the Spurs. But they literally shot 10 out of 38 from three-point range.
It felt like a Kings game from last season or from like 3 seasons ago where we weren't mature as a team.
Exactly.
And then you go out and beat the Phoenix Suns by 20.
Well, then it's exact opposite against the Phoenix Suns, where they shot 64% from the field total, 53% from three for that game. So you're like, they blow the Suns out the next game. And so you're like, okay.
Okay, this is just Kings basketball where it doesn't make sense. Got it.
Yeah. So really this week was totally a back and forth, does not make sense. You beat the Suns by a big amount.
This entire week was loss, win, loss, win, loss.
So then you play the Timberwolves, which we'll get to the De'Aaron Fox in seconds, but you lose in overtime to the Timberwolves. Close game, though. You beat the Jazz, and then you lost to the Hawks. So totally what you said, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. So their record right now is 8-7. Not doing that great in the Western Conference. I think somebody said they were 10th.
If we were in the East, we'd be the 4 seed right now.
Well, yeah, but we're not.
That's not the point here. I'm just saying, I think it was from 2 days ago, but as of Sunday, the West was 30-13 against the East.
Yes,
which is crazy to me.
So technically, the Kings are tied with the Clippers and the Grizzlies for 8th. 8, 9, and 10, they're all tied. Actually, 8, 9, 10, 11. Dallas is at 11.
Hey,
they're all
we're in the
tied.
play-in game. That's something.
Yeah, who cares where you're in the play-on game in November? But anyway, we are still in the play-on game.
It's not being a lottery team
That's true. But we are 8-7. You're a half game behind the Timberwolves, which you've lost to twice. We've beat the Phoenix Suns. Actually, we split the Phoenix Suns. And we have the Clippers coming up next. So, yeah, back and forth week, up and down week. But the second half of the week was really a down part of the week from an injury perspective, where DeMar DeRozan went out with a back injury.
Was that against Minnesota?
That was in the Suns game. He went out.
Okay.
And then he didn't play in the Timberwolves or the
Jazz or the Hawks game.
And then during the Timberwolves game, Sabonis goes out. Or no, he went out during the Suns game, I think it was. Anyway, somewhere he was out.
No, I thought did
he play against the Timberwolves?
He played against the Timberwolves,
That's
and he played the whole game against the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
But then he didn't play the Jazz game.
Yeah, he went out a little bit and actually went to the locker room in the Timberwolves. That's right. If I look at my notes, I wrote that down. Anyway.
Crazy
I know,
concept.
Crazy. Look at my notes. Sabonis was out of the game at 7:40 left in the game after a shot to the back. It was a 1-point game. Kings take the lead with 7 minutes left at 101-100. Anyway, so yes, I even wrote that down. Did comes back, but then he doesn't play. That was the Timberwolves did not play the game we went to, and so if you're actually listening to us, we actually did a live post game 5 minutes. That was super fun.
If we got a special tickets from the company that he works at, I'm gonna show it on the screen. Like it was really cool. They had like drinks for us. They had couches. We didn't really sit on the couches because we were watching the game, but it was really cool to be able to be in a suite and just like be in that place. Although I do miss sitting around a bunch of other like Kings fans instead of just like.
Sorry, my company is a bunch of engineers.
They're a bunch of nerds,
and
so they're not really that big of sports fans.
Yeah, they don't cheer as much. They're not always, Kings fans in that suite. But it worked great for us.
It was really good seats.
Yeah, they're still really good seats.
Those are the most comfortable seats that I've sat in at at a sports game.
Oh yeah, totally agree. Like you get nice armrests, you get like a place to put your jacket right next to you, type of thing. It's like going.
You had cup holders in your armrests.
Yeah, and it's almost like on an airplane. It's like moving from coach to first class. That's how it's moving it from everybody down in the normal bowl versus sitting in the suites. That's the comparison you ever set in first class. That's the experience of first class type of thing. But then we were able to record it from the suite, which was super fun to do that. So maybe someday we'll do some more live or post-game reaction shows.
Hopefully they let us bring a tripod in, but I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't asked to try that. We'll have to try that sometime. How do you bring a tripod into the game to do that when we sit with, normal seats? Anyway.
For the poor people.
We can't afford the suite. We're part of the poor people.
Yeah.
But anyway, great fun. That was a fun game there. We definitely have to, before going too far into this podcast, De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox. Full stop, De'Aaron Fox.
He is, what do they call it? What do the people call him? He's him?
He's him.
He's
nice.
He's pretty good.
He's pretty nice.
109 points in 2 games.
In 2 days.
Not just 2 games, 2 days. Back-to-back days.
We were at the Jazz game where he scored 49. Also.
Yeah. Like he had like was it 18 in the first quarter of that game. So like we knew, like I told him before the game is he's gonna at least get 30. He probably get the 40. Will he get the 40 was what I said before the game. He got the 40, got the 49. So, but 109 points. Like you just put that in perspective.
You're in Kobe Bryant territory.
Yeah.
You're in Wilt Chamberlain territory.
Exactly.
That's really good.
So, I mean, just a few of the records. I didn't write down everyone, but coming from memory, like it was the 60 points is the most ever in the Sacramento Kings franchise history, not just Sacramento Kings. The 100 years of our franchise, it was the most. Jack Twyman? I forgot if I
some old guy.
TWYAM, something like that. Back I think in the 50s or something like that.
Oh,
he had
that was before you.
Yeah, before me.
The dinosaurs, crazy.
Exactly. So he had 59 was the previous record. The previous Sacramento Kings era record was I think 56 by DeMarcus Cousins. Yeah. His history was made when De'Aaron Fox went for 60.
I think we were watching the Timberwolves game because it went to overtime and went, there's no way they're winning this. They're in overtime, so we turned it on because we were like not paying attention to.
We had watched part of the game.
We watched part of it,
and they're down by 20.
Yeah, so we're like, okay, they're going to lose, and then we were like, okay, overtime. So let's watch this, and then the announcer says that's 60 for De'Aaron Fox. We both go,
60?
60? He's what?
So I went back the next day and we watched that game, took my notes, enjoyed the game. Like he just goes off. Like. Besides the fact that he just goes off, we were down by 20 multiple times, like almost, I'd say half the third quarter, it felt like.
Yeah.
And they did get it down to 16 going into the fourth, but you're like, yeah, whatever, 20 to 16. I mean, they were going back and forth, 20 to 16, back and forth, back and forth. But at the beginning of the fourth, they just wanted to run. And they were down by 16 with 9:30 left, so that's only 2.5 minutes into the fourth. It was a 4-point game. Fox was leading this. There was other people making it, but Fox was just going off, and he was just going off. Sabonis left the game, like I mentioned earlier. He left when it was a 1-point game. Kings took the lead with 7 minutes to go, 101-100. So if you think about it, the Kings took the lead with 101-100 with 7 minutes to go. They did actually get to like a 3 or 4 point game. So it was totally like they could have won that game. But there was some really tough shots made by the Timberwolves. Give them credit toward the end to send it to overtime. And then in overtime, Fox is the only one making shots. and he was getting tired. That kind of goes back to the game that it was
not having DeMar DeRozan or Malik Monk. We forgot to mention Malik Monk being injured.
Yeah, like so. If I go back to the schedule, they were playing. Who was the game that both of them took over at the end of the game? And we commented on that.
Oh, was it the Phoenix Suns game? The first one.
No, it was the Raptors game. Wasn't it Raptors?
I think it was Raptors because
it was you're right. It was the first Suns.
Okay.
It was the first Suns game. So we beat the Suns twice.
Mm-hmm.
The first Suns game, it was DeMar DeRozan was carrying us for almost the whole game,
Mm-hmm.
and then he's like basically it was in overtime, and he told Fox, and actually he told us tell us post game, hey, it's your turn, and Fox scored the last 8 points. So then you get to the Timberwolves game, and even like the Hawks game last night, that you're like Fox needed somebody else to help.
Mm-hmm.
And Fox was trying to carry load. Now, Keelan Ellis last night also had a really good game. Started out 8 for 8 from 3.
Yes.
Like, awesome. He finished 9 for like 15.
Mm-hmm.
But that was awesome. So back to Fox and his amazing game, but he scored 60. He needed just a little bit of help for us to beat the Timberwolves. Give the Timberwolves credit. They did actually come back. Julius Randle had made some tough buckets.
Anthony Edwards doing whatever he does.
Yeah, but the Anthony Edwards, I mean, if you think about it, the Timberwolves were the number 1 ranked defense last year.
Yes.
And Fox goes and scored 20 on them, or 60. He goes and scored 60 on them. And then he goes against the Jazz. Now, the Jazz, they're not as good as the Timberwolves, let's put it that way. And so he scores 49 against them.
Which was a game that was way too close.
Yeah, they had, the Kings had a lead.
As a person who was there and watching it, first thing I want to mention, De'Aaron Fox in the first quarter, he had, what was it?
18
shots?
Or 18 points.
18 points. He had 18 points, and the only shot he missed in the first quarter was a free throw.
Mm-hmm.
He was perfect from the field.
Wasn't he 6 for 6, I think it was, something like that? Yeah. So, amazing. They even got, I felt like they were slowly pulling away in the first half, and they got up to a 62-50 lead.
And then we go, okay, we can go get popcorn now.
Yeah, and that's what we were feeling a little comfortable.
Yeah.
And we guess we shouldn't have left our seats because I think it was a 1-point game at halftime.
Yeah.
And so then the Jazz basically, they pretty much owned the third quarter and took a lead. I mean, they outscored us by overall 5 points in that period. So, yeah, but they had a lead, and then we took over in the fourth period and came back to win that game.
One thing I want to talk about.
Yes?
They just killed Royale.
You want to bring that up now?
Yeah, I want to bring that up now. I'm still mourning the loss of Royale because I was like, okay, he looks really dumb, but like I'll get behind it because he's just for this season because it's only for the City Edition jerseys. And then they say that they're gonna have the introduction for him at the third quarter, which is
I kind of wanted to see what they were doing.
End of halftime. And I go, okay, and they show the video and they killed him. They shipped him off to Cincinnati.
They didn't technically kill him, but they kind of did. Like, it actually came out the next couple of days. Like, they actually did. Yeah, he's done. They made the whole costume.
They got a guy in it. They did the press release, and he's just dead. Bye.
And he didn't even show up.
Yeah.
He only shows up in a video.
Uh-huh.
Like, now, I actually kind of like, if you haven't seen him, in the logo that they picked his face comes from the old Cincinnati Royals logo.
Yes.
Where it's a face of a basketball with a crown on it.
Uh-huh.
And
it still looks really weird. That's not the point.
It kind of looks a little weird. It's mascots are supposed to be for kids.
Yes.
And it doesn't look the most kid-friendly of a face. Mm-hmm. But okay, it wasn't horrible.
It wasn't horrible. I got more used to it the more I saw it. So like, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
He's just gone.
Yeah, no, some of the things I heard was they actually said that like De'Aaron Fox actually commented on it when Sean Cunningham asked him in an interview, what do you think of it?
He was like, I've never heard of that. And then they show him a picture of it and he goes, what the F is that?
Is that what he actually said?
Yes.
I didn't hear the logo. Oh, okay. I didn't hear the quote, but I heard that was the story. And and he didn't go back.
When your star says that, you have a problem.
Yes. I kind of like the idea of a second mascot.
For a jersey, like
if only for certain nights.
Yes,
he's not going to be there whole season. Slamson's still your major mascot.
Like if he shows up at Slamson's birthday, I'm not gonna be mad.
I know,
but, like he's just gone.
He's totally gone. That's one of the shortest. I don't know if there's a stat on the shortest lived mascot ever. You gotta Google it.
Shortest lived.
But like that
talking.
has to be one of the shortest lived mascots ever. They get them all out there, get a promotion. They do the press release. He lasted about a day, and he didn't even show up at a live game. He only shows up in a video. So, rest in peace.
According to Google,
Dandy,
the New York Yankees mascot, lasted from 1979 and was removed in 1981. So Royale is the shortest-lived mascot in professional sports.
According to Max's quick Google search, he lasted a day. The other one the shortest one lasted like 2 years.
You keep talking.
So, if you want to hear some more history about this, there actually is a Sacramento Bee article. If you get your Sacramento Bee thing, that there actually talks about the history of it, about Royale and what happened to him. But yes, rest in peace, Royale. The funny thing is his face actually does show up on these City Edition jerseys that the Kings have wore the last 2 games. So maybe as Max is editing this, we'll put a picture of Royale on the screen so you can see what he looks like. Yeah.
When was he even announced?
Oh, the other interesting thing.
November 14th. So he lasted from November 14th to
Saturday, which is the 16th.
He lasted 2 days.
Yeah.
Shortest lived sports mascot ever. It just feels so weird to me because they made the costume. Well, it's not really a costume, it's kind of just a head, but they made the head and they got a guy in the suit and everything, and he's just gone.
Now, the funny thing was, we're not totally upset about Royale. But when they just announced him just briefly in the arena,
everyone booed.
Oh, it was loud. It's like, can you imagine loud booing refs? Like it was close to that loud.
It was probably like 80% as loud as when we booed the refs near the end of the game because they made some really sketchy calls. But that's
maybe we'll get into that. But like, yeah,
when you have 2 coaches challenges and you win both of them, and you're Mike Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Royale was described as a reinterpretation of the 1950s Royals logo with a basketball-shaped face, a hairline shaped like the state of California. I didn't know that. And a crown featuring the Sacramento skyline.
Okay.
This is the Sacramento skyline. How is this? I'm looking at the picture. A crown. This is the description. A crown featuring the Sacramento skyline. I'm looking at the crown. It just is a crown. I don't see any skyline in it. Okay, whatever.
I don't get it.
He didn't get.
Is that supposed to be Is that supposed to be more of the logo?
I don't get it.
Oh, it's supposed to be more of the logo because, like, if you look at the logo, there's the Kings one, and then there's more of the buildings around it.
Oh, the one on the jersey.
Yes, the one in the jersey.
Not the actual
mascot. Not the physical guy, the guy in the jersey, and then his hair looks more like the state of California.
Okay, that one. Okay,
I understand that one.
Okay, and then you got De'Aaron Fox's reaction, and then social media was not very kind to Royale, and so.
Were they planning on this the whole time?
I can't believe they would actually go through the process of making a mascot and then killing it right away after 2 days.
Like, there are some places that I don't forget what team.
Technically, in the Sacramento Bee article, it says his fate is unknown.
What do you mean his fate is unknown? He's gone. You don't shoot this whole thing and just have him come back one day. Actually, that sounds like that sounds like the most San Francisco Sacramento Kings thing ever. Just like, we killed him. Psych! He's back.
Well, they didn't kill him. They just shipped him off to Cincinnati.
They're going to have a new team in Cincinnati. Okay. And Royale's there.
Okay. We did break down the Jazz game in our post-game interview talking about those two. So if you want back to the game. If we're done with Royale.
If you want to, it's 20 minutes and we only talked about Royale. What the heck?
We talked Royale for 10 minutes.
I lost my train of thought. So if you want to watch more about our thoughts on the Jazz game and like our immediate ideas, reaction on that, that's in episode 7.5 on YouTube. It's not on Spotify because I didn't think of putting it on the 7-minute episode on the Spotify.
Yeah.
But if you want to watch that, it's on the YouTube. Go click the channel description wherever it is.
Yeah, click subscribe at the bottom.
I'll put it at the end of the video.
Okay.
In those cards.
Yeah, so we talked about in that one, we talked about the reviews and stuff like that. Some of the things that I found out later, like, so again, De'Aaron Fox had 109 points in 2 games. Fox's season total, which had been 12 games.
Yes.
His season total over 12 games was 295 points. He was averaging 24.5 points a game.
Yes.
After that game, after those 2 games, he was up to 404, which is the second most points in the league at that time on Saturday night. He was averaging 28.9, so he increased his average by 4.4 points in 2 games. Which after 12 games, you're already at a good surface.
Yeah.
That's a huge increase. So again, Fox went off. Amazing job to Fox. He needed more help in the Jazz game, or sorry, the Falcons.
Hawks.
Atlanta Hawks game last night.
Atlanta Bird.
Yes, Atlanta Bird game. The Keon Ellis did try to help. Keegan Murray.
He's having problems.
He's playing. When they were interviewed Fox and Brown after the games.
Mike Brown.
Sorry, just Brown. Mike Brown. Coach Brown. Is that better? Coach Brown. Is that better?
There's a lot of people named Brown, so I was confused.
Sorry, Coach Brown.
Okay.
After the game, and they're like, "Well, we asked Keegan Murray to do a lot of things."
Yeah.
Okay. But you got to at least shoot the ball.
Yeah.
You're number 4 over draft pick. You got to do some scoring.
He was the.
I'm not asking you to be our leading scorer and go score 60.
I'm asking you I'm just asking you shoot the ball because you were the rookie leader for 3 points made in a season, and you're hesitant on shooting your threes.
Yeah.
He scored twice in the Jazz game.
He had 5 points in the Jazz game we went to. In the Hawks game last night, he shot 9 baskets. He shot 9, ended up with 7 points. His plus or minus was actually minus 20. Oh, like that's not good.
He's, as we said a lot before this season, we need Keegan Murray to be the 3rd star. That was before we knew we had DeMar DeRozan because we have a really good recording schedule. But Keegan Murray needed to step up in order for the Kings to be the next step up of what they need to be. Because the potential that we have as a Kings team with DeMar DeRozan, with Domantas Sabonis, with De'Aaron Fox is really high, but we need the really good supporting cast behind all those people, all those good role players, like all the good role players that the Celtics have, all the good role players that the Cavaliers have.
I would say Keegan Murray should be more than just a role player.
Yes.
Should.
He has to be the 4th option.
Yes.
If it's not him, is it Keon Ellis? Is it Kevin Huerter? Is it Trey Lyles?
Well, it'd probably 4th is probably Malik Monk, Meek Monk, and Keegan Murray too.
Sorry, if your 5th best option, can't make his threes. He's hesitant to drive down. He's hesitant to score points.
Like Kevin Huerter shot 10 threes against the Hawks, and you only scored 3 or shot 3. He only shot 3. Like, come on, there has to be more points than that. Like, Trey Lyles shot 7. Alex Len had 1. I mean, come on.
If you're shooting 2 more threes than Alex Len, and you're Keegan Murray, the guy who set the rookie 3-point record, you need to be shooting more threes. I get that in the second season he sort of moved away from threes and he was
doing other things.
He was becoming more of a defender. He was passing the ball. He was passing the ball around more, getting the more people in the offense involved. But he's so far past that he's not even shooting anymore.
Yeah, I know. I do have to say in the Atlanta Hawks game, if you looked at him, he did actually foul out. He actually got frustrated and fouled out in that game. Like you could, even the announcer says, like, that is the most frustrated we've ever seen Keegan Murray. Like he actually reacted to a foul call and was like the most exasperated Keegan, which is not very exasperated for everybody else. But for Keegan Murray, he was getting very frustrated. So he might be frustrated as the way he's playing. He's probably just as frustrated as we are. But we do need more from you, Keegan Murray. The other part of this is with all these people being out, especially like 3 out of our top 4 best players out. Fox is, of course, carrying the load, and that's why he scored 109 points because we needed him to. This is showing went 1-1. This is showing a big, huge black hole in our bench. Like, okay, Trey Lyles, check, good bench player.
Okay.
You got
Malik Monk, check, double check,
good,
really good bench player.
Keenan Ellis. He's been up and down, but he should be in the check, good bench player.
Yes, he just had offensive struggles of few games, and then he scored 30.
He scored 33 last night.
Yeah, so
okay, he can do it.
We'll have a half check for now.
Yeah, half check.
And then who else? Alex Len?
Yeah, and even like in the Jazz game, there was some interesting.
Doug McDermott got minutes.
Well, and I'm not too upset about Doug
Isaiah
McDermott.
Jones got minutes.
Yeah, but Isaac Jones, Mason Jones got minutes. Colby Jones got minutes last night where Mason Jones didn't. Now, Jordan McLaughlin can be a decent player. You're trying Orlando Robinson, which I do have to say, I when we talked about him in the little short 7.5 podcast about him, Orlando Robinson, when he came back from injury, he played one game in the G League and dominated that G League game for the Stockton Kings. I think he had 26 points. I think he made, was he like 3 for 6 from 3-point range? So he can do it in the G League, which I didn't know. So, okay, I give him a little credit in that little thing. He's better than I thought he was.
He's proven that he can be a good player.
Yes. But also you could totally tell in both the last 2 games, he doesn't know how to run the Kings offense. Because there was times where, and then this really popped up in the Jazz game and they barely won, Hawks game, but also
this comes from the coaching mind and also from me because you were saying it out loud while we were at the Jazz game. The spacing was really, really bad. Especially when the Jazz were on the run, the spacing was really bad.
Yeah. Like, okay, the high school team that I coach you play on, it was not unheard of to have all 5 players on half of the court.
Yes.
I'd never see an NBA team do that. And we saw the Sacramento Kings a couple of times in the Jazz game. Everybody was on one side of the court. And that should never, ever happen in any, maybe down to elementary level that can happen. But in junior high on up, you got to have the floor spread and at least one player on the other side of the court, if not have a good floor spreader, but at least one. They had multiple times in the second quarter where all 5 were on the other side of the court. So, but then in the fourth quarter, when they had Orlando Robinson back in, like somehow they passed the ball to Alex Len or Sabonis as the center. Like, hey, I passed the ball to you. I run off a screen. We do a DHO, dribble handoff. In case you don't know what that means, DHO. So you do the DHO. He didn't know the ball was coming to him and just let the ball and got a turnover. Like there was a couple times like he's not even expected. So like he might be a good player, but not yet And he didn't get much of a training camp, so I give him you got him a little bit of credit. He's got some talent. They're trying to work it in. But, when you're trying to work on Orlando Robinson and Isaac Jones and Mason Jones and, Jordan McLaughlin's kind of somewhat new, and you don't have your other good players.
And Devin Carter is still injured, and he's a rookie, so you have to develop him so that he's ready to come back whenever his shoulder is fine.
But it's like you could develop one of these guys and bring one new guy in with 4 guys that know what they're doing. But when you have 3 guys out there that don't really know what they're doing on the court and don't know how to play together, then you're a problem. So I think that's where the Kings are at, and I think this puts back to what we had a problem with in the offseason of they didn't really develop the bench. There was a lot of big cry for like the Kings should go get Jay Crowder. I think he's a little bit old, but I'd still would take him on this team. You're like, you need more physical wings. Like we are a very small team. Like if you look at what the Atlanta Hawks did, they traded for it was Daniels. What's his first name? Dyson Daniels. And he didn't play much on the Jazz, or he was on the Pelicans last year, and they got him. And he was hounding Fox. Like, we need more players like that. Now, that's kind of our Keon Ellis type of thing.
Sort of a Keegan Murray if he's
but you're like, but the Kings, for some reason, they don't get those type of players. They get very limited of those, and we need those. Like, that's what you need is those types of players in the Kings. So, anyway, that's a little frustration because we're 8-7. We should have a better record after this. And we lost to the Hawks. Now, if you look at coming up in the next couple of games, we have like a couple of days off.
We play the next game on Friday, so we have Tuesday, today, Wednesday, Thursday off, and then we have the Friday game against the Clippers at LA, and then we have 2 home games against the Nets on Sunday, and then the day after that we have against the Thunder.
So the good thing is we have a couple days off here. Hopefully we get at least Sabonis back, maybe DeRozan for the LA Clippers game, and then we get to Brooklyn as home. Oklahoma City home, like you said, and then we go on the road, and then we got around Thanksgiving. So, we'll probably get a podcast in next week. We might only have like a couple Kings games to talk about there. So, hopefully, we'll get some wins against the Clippers and the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, as we transition to the Niners, there's one thing I wanted to bring up both of them, and we mentioned this on the way here.
Okay.
After 17 games,
oh boy,
who is going to have a better record? Since the reason for 17 games is that's how many games the Niners will play. So by the end of the season, the Niners are 5-5.
Pull up the Niners schedule so we can make sure.
And the Kings right now are 8-7. They only need 2 more games to get to their 17 games. So in 17 games, who is going to have a better record, Niners or Kings?
Okay, so not the Niners. The Kings have already played 15 games.
Yes, they got 2 more to go.
They have 2 more, which is the Clippers and the Nets.
Yes.
I think they're going to lose against the Clippers because they haven't played good against the Clippers, and I don't know and that was when we had DeMar DeRozan and Domantas Sabonis.
Okay.
So I don't know if we're going to win that. So I think we're going to split these 2 games and we're going to beat the Nets.
So that'd be 9-8.
So that'd be 9-8.
Okay.
Now let's look at the Niners schedule. Okay, so I don't want to look at the Niners schedule because this just makes me sad. I wonder how it feels like to be a Jags fan. Well, you've already lost expectations to be a Jags fan, so that's different. But because like they had a lot of expectations coming into this season, and then they're 2-7. Next game, I'm not going to talk about who I think is going to win against Green Bay because we can talk about that in a little bit. That's going to be a hard game. You're in Lambeau. You're against Green Bay. Green Bay is currently 7-3. You are 5-5. Are you going to win that game? I don't know. I sure hope you are. And then the Bills. I think we're going to lose that game. I'm just going to say this straight up because the Bills are really good.
I think that's probably my first time picking against the Niners all season. So, yes, totally. Go ahead.
Then we have the Bears game, which I think we should win. And then we have the Rams game, which I think we should win. I don't know if we are going to win because of how we played against the Rams. And then we have the Rams. Not the Rams. We just said the Rams. Then you have the Dolphins, which you should win. And then you have, quite possibly, could be the worst game of the season as a Niners fan, against the Detroit Lions, who have not lost a game since September. So I hope the Niners look good by then. But if it was the Lions right now versus the Niners right now, is there even a question? No. The Lions win that.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So with what I'm saying is that if the Niners beat Chicago, if the Niners beat the Rams, they tie the Kings.
No, they'd have to win.
Oh, yeah.
Kings already have 8.
Oh, hold on.
If you said the Kings would get to 9.
Yes.
So that means the Niners have to win 4 games.
Okay.
So you tie the Kings.
So let's say this. You beat the Bears.
Uh-huh.
You beat the Rams.
Okay.
You beat the Dolphins. You beat the Cardinals.
Okay, there's your 4. So you think the Kings and the Niners will be tied?
I think the Kings and Niners are going to be tied.
Okay.
What I think could happen is at most, you could beat Green Bay. Let's say you beat Green Bay let's say you beat Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're up by 1 game against the Kings. You are a team that went to the Super Bowl last year, and you can only win 10 games. Are you even making the wild card spot in this NFC?
No, we're not making the wild card.
Exactly.
You're either going to win the division or you're not. We'll get to that in a little
That's
bit.
why the Arizona game is so important for this.
Oh, yeah. So my quick take on this before we'll jump over to the Niners therapy session. You have a quick thing. Which one's going to win more, Niners or Kings, or is it going to be tied? I already know what I'm going to say, so I'll let you.
This is as because
tougher than you thought.
The Niners can be really good. We've seen how good they can be. Like, we've seen,
but they're not doing it this year.
The only good game that we've had is against the Jets, and that was the first game of the season.
And we had one quarter against the Cowboys.
We had one. We had 2 good quarters against the Cowboys.
Yeah, but at one quarter we scored 21-0. So yeah. What
do you want me to say?
I'm going to say I think the Kings are going to have a better record after 17. Flat out, Kings will have a better record. I think the Kings will go 10-7. Niners will go 9-8. That's my quick prediction on right now, as the way it looks right now. And at 9-8, if we're joined, this is our transition into the Niners therapy session. I don't see how the Niners So the Niners, to get to the playoffs, they are technically only one game behind the Cardinals, but in reality, they're two.
Because
they don't, even if you beat the Cardinals in the last game of the season, then you'd be tied head to head. This next tiebreaker is division record. We're 1-3 in the division. So basically we are 2 games behind the Cardinals, because the only way to beat all the other teams in the division is because we're probably not going to beat their head to head. At best, we're going to split everybody. And then your division record, which is not going to be very good, whoever going to try to fight for the division champion. There's no way we're going to have a better division record because we're already 1-3. The best we can do is 3-3. So I don't think you're going to win that one. So then you have to be a game up on whoever you're tied with to win the division. So we are literally 2 games behind the Cardinals right now with 7 to go.
Wait, hold on. So I'm looking at the stats here for this game.
Yes.
The past Seattle game.
Okay.
And I'm looking at every single other game before this. This is the first game of the season Brock Purdy did not have 200 passing yards against the Seahawks.
Yes, it's only the 3rd time in his entire career that he has not had, or this is his 3rd worst passing record. And that is including the NFC Championship game versus Philadelphia, which he broke his UCL or tore his UCL ligament and he went out. So I was looking that up over here on this thing of where he was at with that. See, this is his 3rd worst game. He had 125 in a Week 6 loss to Cleveland last year, and only 159 this time. This is also the overall yardage wise, the Seahawks gained 289 yards. We gained 277. So we just yardage wise, we lost the yardage game to the Seahawks. That also happened to us against the Vikings, which we lost, and the Chiefs, who we lost in Week 7. So, normally we've been outgaining the other team and still losing. This time we didn't even do that. The interesting thing is if you look at, compared to the last game we played the Seahawks, Kyle Shanahan said, we played better this game than the last game we played against the Seahawks. But the problem is, when the last time we played the Seahawks, they gave us really big, like they had a 76-yard pass play to Debo. Well, they just didn't cover him on one play, and we got a touchdown off of it. And then you had Garendo do a 76-yard run or something like that. So, we had a couple missed bad plays by them, but overall, Shanahan said we played better. But the problem is, if this is playing better, you're in trouble. You do have to say highlights. Juan Jennings is a beast. He's playing really good, better than I thought he'd be playing.
One thing that I said while watching the Seattle game is that Juan Jennings plays like how Debo used to. He's a physical guy. He will run through multiple people. He doesn't care. He's getting the ball. And Debo, I don't know. He seems out of shape.
He does. He seems slow.
Yeah.
He seems slow. Like the first couple weeks of the season, he was fast. And I don't know if they're saying, I don't think they said anything is wrong with him, but he seems slow on the field. Like they do the jet sweeps to him, or they do the runs. And the other thing is when they do those runs, the blocking's not there. Like there is no lanes. They're totally running against an 8-man front. We were actually running the ball better with Mason Jones than we are McCaffrey. Like, I don't know what that is, but we were running the ball better with Mason Jones. Or not Mason Jones. That's a Kings player. Fred Mason.
Fred Mason.
Jordan Mason. Sorry, I'm getting really mixed up here. Sorry, Mason.
Sorry, what time is it?
Mason.
8 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah.
9 o'clock? Almost 9 o'clock.
That's almost 9 o'clock. So we're playing better with Jordan Mason than we are when we're doing McCaffrey running the ball.
Yeah.
And then that leads to the point is, why is Mason only running the ball like once or twice in the last 2 games? You're like, I understand McCaffrey is a really good player.
I understand that he's Christian McCaffrey.
But, reigning NFC Offensive Player, or League NFL Offensive Player of the Year. But Mason, before McCaffrey comes back, was the 2nd leading rusher in the NFL. You're like, you have 2 good players. You have to play both. When you don't have really good players, you got to play. So I'm a little frustrated. The other thing is I'm frustrated is from an offense perspective is where's Debo is the other problem. I know Kittle was out and Ayuk is out for the rest of the season, but Ricky Pearsall got did he even get any attempts
I think he got one attempt and it was missed.
Yeah, like he did not have a catch. I did not understand the let's see here. Yeah, passing yards. Yeah, he had nothing. The other interesting thing is tight end. Okay, so Salbert is your second tight end. Kittle's out. Why are you playing Jalen Moore as a tight end? He played 12 snaps as a tight end. What is wrong with Jake Tongues and Braden Willis? Braden Willis is a second-year player you're trying to develop. You're not developing sitting on the bench. If you're that uncomfortable with him, then cut him. If he's not good enough to play when your good guy's out, then why do you have him on your team?
Who's playing tight end?
Jalen Moore, an offensive lineman. They put in 6 offensive linemen on 12 snaps. 7 of them ended up being runs. So he's out there.
He's the backup left tackle.
Yeah, he's a backup tackle, swing tackle. So he backs up both tackle positions. In the preseason,
not Eric Saubert, not.
Well, Eric Saubert played 55 snaps,
Okay.
but Jalen Moore also came in on 12 snaps and played tight end.
What are we? The Lions blowing out the Cowboys?
And then Jalen Moore, if you're bringing him in for run blocking because that's where Kittle's really good at. Well, when you bring him in and they see there's an extra offensive lineman, what's the defense going to think? Oh, this is a run. And then you don't run very good with him out there. And then Jalen Moore's not some great run blocker. Now, I don't know. I'm frustrated at that. I'm very frustrated at the Kings. This is the therapy session of our thing. But
Kings, Niners. One thing I saw today is that Jake Brendel, our starting center,
yes,
is PFF ranked 40.
Centers,
40. There are 32 teams in our league, and he's ranked 40. How are you ranked behind other people's backups?
Probably it's because they got injured, but still, yeah, that's really bad.
How many? Okay.
The run blocking looks to be a problem because that's where the Niners need to have a stable running game for the Shanahan offense to run. I get that. And they cannot run the ball. They're getting 8-man fronts, and then as they do that, okay, to beat a 8-man front, you're supposed to pass out of it to get them out of the 8-man front, and then you can get them back and you put them back to normal 7-man fronts or 6-man fronts, and then you run on that. Okay, but they can't complete passes. And if you look at and I don't think it's Brock Purdy. Maybe he's not having his best of season, and he had a couple, but overall Purdy's playing pretty good. I'm happy with Purdy, but the separation, there are so many points where the separation, which separation is just as they're trying to catch the ball, what's the yardage difference? But
aren't we the worst in the league?
I think we're either worst or second worst in separation and wide receivers. So that means Debo's not getting open. Juan Jennings doesn't need, which is why he's getting all the targets, because he's not going to get you wide open, but he can out-muscle for the ball and box out. He's kind of like a basketball player out there where he boxes out, gets the ball on a pass. Okay, he doesn't need it.
And there's Ricky Pearsall, which is
now, maybe he's still developing.
Yeah,
and maybe he's going to come along.
Sorry, this is the 3rd game of the season. Give him a little bit.
But we drafted him because he was really good against man.
Yes.
And teams are playing man against us, and we are not beating them at man. Because if you think about it, the defense or the head coach of the Seahawks was the defense coordinator on the Ravens last year. What did the Ravens do the Niners last year? That's the one that we played Christmas night. And you probably want to forget that game because Purdy wasn't that 4 interceptions that game, and we looked horrible. That was supposed to be the best team in the NFC versus the best team in the AFC
and we
on
got
Christmas
whopped.
night, and we looked horrible. So that's the same defense that they're playing against now as the Seahawks, and we didn't look very good against it. So I'm really worried about the Niners. If you look at their next couple weeks, I don't even know if we're going to make the playoffs. I seriously do not think we're going to make the playoffs right now. This is probably the first time all season that I'll say it. I don't think we're going to make the playoffs. If you start looking at, like I said, we're literally 2 games behind.
Want to know our longest win streak this season?
Isn't it 2?
2 games.
And we just had it, right?
Dallas Buccaneers, 2 games.
Yeah. And then, like, if you look at, like, where was it here? Let's see if I can find it.
Unless Debo suddenly magically returns to form, unless our run blocking magically returns. Also, the defense is just playing like trash, and I think that's partly because of Brandon Staley, who didn't have a good defense.
Well,
He didn't have a.
I think the defense is playing better.
They didn't have a. We didn't have a. Brandon Staley didn't have a good defense on the Chargers, and we hired him for some reason, and now he's bringing. This feels weird to say. He's making the Niners Charger.
Oh, because they were giving up leads at the end of games?
Yes, because our defense can't stop anyone.
Yeah. So there was one. I was trying to find it here.
I think that's part of the reason, because we have someone who is not necessarily a good coach for professional leagues.
The funny thing is, I was actually thinking about this yesterday. The Niners have been one of the best teams for about 5 or 6 years, and they always get their coordinators and assistants have been poached.
Yes.
I think we're starting to feel that. Because when you think about the attention to detail, where we make, where's it at? But I can't find it here recently. There was a long drive that the Niners had through the game this year, or through this past game. And basically, I think it was like 10 or 11 plays, and they only gained 29 yards, which basically means you're getting yardage, and then you get a penalty. And you get yardage, you get a first down, and then you go backwards. And so they have to get enough penalties to go backwards by the end of the drive. They only got 29 yards total, but it was like an 11-play drive. And that means you're always getting a third down, and you're barely getting it type of thing. But that's what the Niners are doing, and it's attention to detail. And I'm wondering if it's because they're losing so many good assistant coaches, and we've lost so many good assistant coaches over the time, that Shanahan can't teach every single player, and you have to have good assistants in this league to teach the attention to detail, to teach the new players, because there was a big turnover this year of players, and they're not learning. Like, there's only, George Kittle, both of his backup tight ends are gone from last year. There's new players. Defensive line was really rebuilt, and they're not learning the detail and the attention to detail that we've had for the Niners over the past couple of years. They're not closing games. So, if you want a glimmer of hope after all of this, Max, the glimmer of hope is Bill Belichick.
Don't you dare talk to me about Bill Belichick. I know he is not going to do anything.
No. Let me get this. It's not what he's going to do. It's what he just said.
Okay.
I heard him quote what he said, or the past couple of days, like, "Hey, what's your thoughts on the Niners?" And he said the Niners have all the pieces to make a run.
I agree.
They do. We both agree they have all the pieces to do it. They just aren't doing it, and they're making so many, like we said, they get a good yardage gain, and then they get a penalty, and you lose it all, right? So if they just get rid of all the negative penalty plays, they could do this. They could still turn it around and make the playoffs and do it. I don't have confidence in them doing it, but I think they can. So Bill Belichick said, do you remember the New York Giants? And there was when they beat the Patriots, they were middle of the road the whole season, and they went on a run at the end and made the playoffs and were the hottest team in the playoffs, and they beat the Patriots. That's exactly what the Niners are. They have everybody. So if you want a glimmer of hope for your Niners therapy session, is they have the pieces in place, and they're 5-5. They could still put all the pieces together, get this all figured out, and go on a run, and still could go win the Super Bowl. Now, is that probably going to happen? Probably not. But it has happened before. It's totally happened before.
Okay. Anyway, let's move on from the Niners and go to our prime time picks.
Nice.
Because you say that.
Yes.
Okay, so prime time games this week. What's our record for the
Okay,
past
so
few?
last week I went 2-2. Max went 1-3.
I'm really good at this. I'm lying. I'm not.
For those of you on audio only, he was shaking his head. So I am 31-16. I do have to say with primetime picks, we are picking some of the supposedly the harder games of the week. So anyway, okay, I'm 31-16. Max is 29-18, so I have a 2-game lead over Max for the season.
Okay.
What's our games for the week, Max?
So Thursday Night Football, you have the Steelers versus the Browns. AFC North games always seem to get primetime slots. Which makes sense because they're a really good division.
Yeah, they play pretty good together. They're usually really tough games. So, okay, yeah, I'll go for that as a good Thursday night game. Are you going to tell us your pick for that game?
So two things to see. Jameis Winston has a lot of upside, and he has a lot of downside. The Steelers have not lost with Russell Wilson.
Hey, you want to go to Cleveland? Prices are as low as $38.
No.
Sorry. Okay, I'm reading on ESPN.
I think it's a New Orleans Pelicans game. You can get a ticket for a Pelicans game right now for $3.
Yeah, because they don't have
I'm
any
not
players.
joking.
They don't have any players.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. Back to the Cleveland. Yeah, sorry.
Wait, where is it?
It's
I don't think it's gonna.
It's in Cleveland.
I don't think it's gonna matter that much. I picked the Steelers.
Okay.
Because the Browns are not doing so hot right now.
No,
I'm going to skip the Niners Green Bay game right now. I'm going to leave them for last because a lot of stuff to say. Okay. A lot of emotions there. Okay, Sunday Night Football. Philadelphia Eagles versus Los Angeles Rams. Can I say one thing? Wait, no, you say your thing. You have something. I don't want to steal your thunder.
Eagles and Rams? Actually, I do not have much to say about the Eagles and Rams.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Good. Oh, my gosh. It's not hiccups, I swear.
Okay.
So, how do I say this? So, the Rams have been doing good. They're getting their good players back. They're getting Puka Nacua. They're getting Cooper Kupp. They're getting all their good players back. They're getting sort of a groove.
They're getting better. Mm-hmm.
I thought the Eagles were going to be frauds this season. They were going to beat a bunch of bad teams and beat some good teams and like sneak their way into the playoffs and lose again.
The Rams have won 4 of the last 5 games, in case you want to know.
The Eagles are 8-2. And they kind of just walloped the Commanders. Now, the Commanders have not beat a team that is over 500 this season, something the Niners also haven't done. But I forgot to say that before now, which is not great.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But with Saquon Barkley is really good. The Eagles, even without Jason Kelce, still have one of the best offensive lines in the league. And the Rams are struggling with their defensive alignment, with their defense after losing Aaron Donald. They're still finding some people, and they're getting good with that. And their secondary is sort of there as well. It's not. The secondary isn't a. They don't have a bad secondary. They have an average secondary. But with that being said, I picked the Eagles because I trust them more. Question mark.
I do think the Rams could totally win this game.
I can very easily lose my trust with the Eagles if they lose like 2 games. And I go, okay, I'm done with you.
I do think they are getting into a groove. The Eagles are. I do think there was a defensive player they got, like when we got Jalen Hargrave, they drafted Jalen Carter, which heads up Niners. That's what you need to do next year, draft a defensive lineman. But anyway, okay, sorry.
Or an offensive lineman.
No, a defensive lineman is a bigger need. Anyway, that's my opinion at least. But he's doing pretty good. So I do totally trust, which is hard to say. I do not trust Jalen Hurts, but I trust the rest of the Eagles. I trust Saquon Barkley. I trust the Eagles defense more. I do think this will be a higher scoring game, because the Rams have a decent offense, decent to good offense. But yeah, I'm picking the Eagles too. So sorry, we're both 2 games we're picking the same. Sorry.
Okay. Ravens Chargers Monday Night Football. Why don't you say this? I want to say my piece last.
Okay, Ravens Chargers. So Jim Harbaugh is doing his best Harbaugh impression, where he comes in and changes the team first year and makes them to a good team. Are they 7-3?
Yes, they are 7-3.
And then Baltimore is
7-3.
They're 7-3 as well. So they both have the same record. It is in LA. Probably have more Ravens fans than Chargers fans.
Because that's how the Chargers work.
Yeah, that's how the Chargers don't have any fans, because they left San Diego. Big mistake.
We're not going to get into that right now.
Baltimore just lost
to the Steelers.
So in some ways, I feel like Baltimore could go one of the 2 ways. The Chargers are going to play them tough because Jim Harbaugh's teams are always tough. And the Chargers are doing a really good job. Herbert is doing a really good job. I could totally see them winning because Baltimore just lost. They could, continue those ways. So I think either Baltimore is going to flip a switch and say that's not us, or they're going to get beat up by the Chargers, because that's what Harbaugh loves to do, is teach his team to be super physical and beat you up. I was going to pick the Ravens, but I'm kind of leaning toward the Chargers right now, just because I think the Chargers
stole my pick. I was going to come around and say, so you know how I said that the Ravens are a really good team like a bunch of weeks in a row, and now they're doing really well?
Well,
the Chargers are playing boring football, but they're playing good boring football.
Fine, I'll change my pick to the Ravens just so we can have a different pick. and you can have the Chargers. I'll let you have the Chargers, and I'll pick the Ravens because I'm that
because
close.
the Chargers playing boring football. They keep on running with Jacob Dobbs, and Jacob Dobbs is doing really good for the Chargers. And they finally taught Quentin Johnson how to catch balls, which is leading him to being really good. And Lad McCogney, I don't know how to say his name. Codney?
Okay, yeah.
Is playing good as well. So Jalen Hurts has wide receivers to throw to again.
Which we didn't. Oh, Jalen Hurts.
Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert.
JH name.
Sorry. Okay. Which we did not think the Chargers had many wide receivers this year, but they've developed them.
And Jim Harbaugh is also teaching the Chargers defense how to play defense again, which makes them be able to makes it so that their offense doesn't have to do as much because their defense is so good. But their offense is doing good as well because you have Justin Herbert, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Like if I could trade Justin Herbert for Brock Purdy, I'd do it any day of the week.
That's an interesting thought. We'll come back to that maybe another day.
No, maybe. But yeah, Chargers. I picked the Chargers.
Okay,
I don't know why I feel the Chargers, but I just feel the Chargers right now.
I was leaning that way, but I'm like the sane part of me before my own going to that thing was the Ravens will come back. I think the Ravens are playing really good this year. They will prove it. That was a one game out. Okay. Niners, Packers.
Are you ready to get some heartbreak? Okay, so this is the most important game of the season for the Niners, in my opinion.
Ooh, Max is calling it right here.
If you do not win this game, you do not make the playoffs. If you do not win this game, you are not going to be the Niners that you were last year. If you cannot get this win against a good Packers team and show that you can do what you have done before, you are not the same Niners that you were. You are going to miss the playoffs. This is the most important game of the season. The Niners have to be on for this because the Packers have been on all this season. Jordan Love's doing good things. Jada Reed's doing good things. They have Josh Jacobs doing good things. They had, at one point, one of their quarterbacks had 6 interceptions in 6 games. The Packers are playing really good. If the Niners can actually do something about what they are right now, they can win this game. Because if the Niners played up to full potential, this is an easy win every day of the week.
No, totally agree.
But if there's a division game, so those will always be a weird. Yeah. No, those are always weird. But the Bears just played the Packers and almost won by 1. And the only reason that they lost is because they blocked a punt, field goal. I'm sorry. Like I said, if the Niners don't win this, I've fully lost confidence for the Niners for the rest of the season. I also.
So what's do you want to get to your pick?
You know, when's the last time Kyle Shanahan lost to the Packers?
I have no idea. That's a good question.
I think it was 2019 in the regular season.
Probably. Okay.
Against the Packers. And then we went and beat them. Wait, no. It was definitely when they still had Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, still when they had Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. Max is torn. The other part that I'm really torn about this game.
You talk.
Well,
I think I have my answer, but I don't want to say it.
Okay. The other part is I think Kittle will be back.
Yes.
Okay.
Would Greenlaw be back by then?
No, they said they might open his practice window, but he probably needs a couple weeks of practice before he comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's an Achilles he's coming back from, so okay, he needs that. He needs some ramp-up time. The other part that would really sway me is will Bosa play? Because when Bosa was in the game against the Seahawks, they only scored 6 points. Mm-hmm. As soon as he went out,
they scored 14.
They scored 14, and we lost the game. So Bosa, because our defensive line is not where it's been the past couple of years. Mm-hmm. It's middle of the road at best.
Where is it? Hold on.
Without Bosa.
Can I say one thing another stat?
If Bosa's playing, I think the Niners have a chance.
Can I say one stat that I saw?
Sure.
I think it's from after the Cardinals game, from the Seahawks game on, or somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
But you know how good Fred Warner started out this season?
Oh, yeah. Like, could be Defensive Player of the Year.
After, I think, the Cardinals game or after the Seahawks game, somewhere in between that, he gets let 30 passes go his way, and there's been 30 passes going his way every single pass after that he has let happen. He has had 0 interceptions. He has had 0 fumbles since that.
Yeah, he was dominant at the beginning of the season, and he's well, I think
if you, again, like I'll say,
I think the offensives know they have to go block him, and he's missing his teammate Greenlaw. He's totally missing Greenlaw. Like, we miss Dre Greenlaw so much in this defense. Like, this defense doesn't work without a good defensive line and then 2 good middle linebackers. Greenlaw, you have to have 2 good Greenlaw, or else this defense does not work. The way the scheme they have, you have to have that. And Campbell is just not it. Very disappointed in the linebacker play from Campbell. I think Fred Warner, I don't know if he's tired. He probably won't say it publicly. Where he's at emotionally or something, but something just, he's not making an impact in games like he used to. Bosa's hurt. He still had 2 sacks the other game, but as soon as he did a second sack, he was out the next play. He's with oblique injury. So I want the Niners to win, but I don't know if they can do it. I do not know if they can do it. What are you picking, Max? We have to write something down here.
I can't not say the Niners.
You're still going to say the Niners?
I'm still going to say the Niners. After everything,
okay.
I'm still going to say the Niners. I still believe that the Niners can beat the Green Bay Packers. I don't know if they will. Like I said, this is the most important game of the season. This is everything is on the line right here, because the Bills game is that's a messy game right there.
Yeah,
but
because if you don't beat the Packers, you're
this is everything.
Totally. I think that will make the rallying cry for this week for the team.
Yes,
like they don't lose. They have not lost 2 in a row. I don't think they've lost 2 in a row this year.
No, they did. They lost against
the
they lost against the Timberwolves, and then they lost against
Timberwolves.
Vikings. I saw Minnesota, and I thought Timberwolves because I'm stupid right now.
They
saw the Vikings, and then they saw the Rams.
Okay. So
sorry, Minnesota cold team. My bad.
I'm still gonna pick the Niners too because
I'm a homer and I can't not pick the Niners.
I know.
Except for the Bills game, because that maybe the Lions game. I'll see with the Lions game.
We'll see how we're doing when we get the Lions game.
Okay. Depressing.
Okay. So there's your Niners therapy session. I don't know if you feel any better, but at least we got our emotions out.
Now that we're done talking about the Niners, there's one more game we have to talk about. Who's winning in the Chiefs-Panthers game?
Taylor Swift.
She always wins because he makes a lot of money. But that's not the point. I don't know why, but I see a path that the Panthers can win. I don't think they're going to, but I see a path that it could happen.
What's the path? Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid don't show up, and Spagnuolo doesn't show up.
I don't know.
Their plane crashes.
Okay, moving on.
I don't see anyway.
I don't think they're going to. There's a way it could happen. On
any given Sunday.
Exactly. Okay. Anyway,
Max's top 5.
Oh boy. Hey, at least I get to not talk about the Niners.
Okay, Max's top 5. What do you got here for us, Max?
Number 5. I was looking through a bunch of the teams. And I'm like, the Texans don't feel right. The Ravens don't feel right. It's like for the top, because the top 3 are pretty solidified.
Okay.
But the 4 and 5 were like kind of iffy for me, because like the Ravens don't feel right.
Okay.
The Texans don't feel right. I don't really trust the Steelers to be a top 5 team right now.
Okay.
So I picked the LA Chargers to be number 5.
Ooh, he's riding that Chargers.
He's
charging up. Sorry. Dad jokes.
Jim Harbaugh has brought an energy to this team that I have not seen. From the Chargers. They've won 4 of their last 4. They started out the season 7-3. 7-3. They started out the season 3-3, and now they're 7-3. in what appears to be actually good AFC West. So interesting. But
except for the Raiders.
The Raiders don't count.
Oh, yeah.
It's like talking about the NFC South. Well, never mind, actually. That's just bad. But, yeah, the Chargers. I don't know what else to see for the Chargers because I already talked about them. So we'll cut the Chargers.
Okay. We just say the Chargers and move on.
Okay.
Team number 4.
Number 4. So I looked at ESPN's top power rankings, and I looked through the list just so I could get a reminder. And I look at this team. I'm like, do I really have a problem with them? I mean, they just beat up on the Cowboys. Did they have a bye week actually? I think they had a bye week. If not, you're gonna say something, and I'm gonna go, oh yeah, that team. But I don't. I think they had a bye week. They just beat up the Cowboys, which is the Cowboys, which is not much of a feat.
Mm-hmm.
But you beat up on the Cowboys really well.
Okay.
So the Eagles are playing really well right now because they start off the season, I think, somewhere in like 2-2, and now they're 8-2.
Okay. Yeah, they're 8-2.
So they're playing really good. They're playing winning football right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I have to say about the Eagles. Because I talked about them. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. You're both on my fantasy teams. Don't mess up. Saquon Barkley's also on my fantasy team.
Technically, like the last week, the Cowboys lost to the Texans. It was Battle of Texas, but the Eagles did beat the Cowboys. Yes, the week before.
Okay. I think I said this last week as well.
Okay.
But number 3. Who did I have number 3? Honestly, I forget.
I'd have to go back and look. It would give me a few minutes to look that up.
Okay.
Here.
Number 3.
You had the Chiefs number 3 last week.
Kansas City Chiefs number 3.
Okay, Chiefs are staying at number 3.
I mean, they're 9-1. It sort of makes sense now because they're 9-1. They had a losing 4th and 6 against Josh Allen, where Josh Allen decides to run 37 yards, the longest rush that the Chiefs have given up this season, for a touchdown against Josh Allen, where he ran over 2 different Chiefs defenders, one of them being a linebacker.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So the Chiefs are really good because they're 9-1, but they also have a little of luck in a lot of their games that you could say, and a little bit of
I do have to say there's
tampering, but.
And Steve Spagnuolo, I mean, he's totally helping. That defense is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I give them a lot of credit. That defense is good.
But I don't know what else to say about the Chiefs because I'm done with talking about these teams so much because I've already talked about these teams so much.
Okay,
Chiefs really good. Bills, you're also number 2. Bills, you're also really good. You just beat the only undefeated team left in the season. Good on you. Everyone liked the Bills this week because you beat the Chiefs, and no one likes the Chiefs. So yeah, good on them. Josh Allen, yeah. Defense, yeah. I don't know what else do you want me to say about the Bills, man.
Let's just go on to number 1 then.
Lions. They've been number 1 for 4 weeks. What else do you want me to say? I've had to talk about this team for 4 weeks straight. For the entire season, actually.
Technically, you had the Bills number 1 last week, but
But the Lions are really good, man.
No, I totally give you. Like, the Lions are just not just doing good; they are just dominating teams.
54 to 6.
52 or 54?
54 to 6 against the Jaguars.
I mean, they're just putting up crazy numbers from yardage to points. They look really good. And we I think I love this point here is like if we had a Super Bowl of the Buffalo Bills and Detroit Lions,
please,
I would
literally
not
just anyone but the Chiefs.
Well,
but please,
if the Niners aren't there, I would love to see a Buffalo Bills Detroit Lions Super Bowl.
I'd love to see a Buffalo Bills Niners Super Bowl as well. Because that means the Niners make the Super Bowl, and that means we're actually playing good. Yeah. But also, that'd be a really good game in that way.
Yeah. So, anyway, I mean, I'd be interested to see Detroit and Buffalo play in the Super Bowl. We'll see if that happens.
So, recap for what we have said for this podcast. We have Keegan Murray's struggles. We have the Kings winning against the Nets, losing to the Brooklyn Nets, losing to the LA Clippers.
I think they're going to beat the Clippers.
I think they're going to lose to the Clippers.
Okay, we'll find out Friday.
And then we didn't really talk about the Thunder game or the
we didn't.
Or the other game.
Yeah.
And then for the Niners side is
we both very.
Can I have a win?
Yes,
please. And then we have the Steelers beating the Browns. We both picked the Niners beating Green Bay, which I feel like we're gonna come to regret, but I just can't pick against the Niners at this point.
We both picked the Eagles.
We both picked the Eagles against the
Rams.
And then I picked the Chargers, and he picked the Ravens for Monday Night Football. And finally, recap: 5 Chargers, 4 Eagles, 3 Chiefs, 2 Bills, 1 Lions.
Okay, cool.
I also got my first
basketball game.
I got my first varsity basketball game of the season tomorrow.
Not true. You've been on varsity for 2 seasons now. This is your 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and well, thank everybody for listening to our podcast. Again, we love everybody. We thank you, all of our listeners. Please like and subscribe.
Thank you for the therapy session with us.
Yes, thank you for walking through and listening to our Niners therapy session. Mm-hmm. And hey, De'Aaron Fox is pretty good.
De'Aaron Fox is really good, man.
Let's end on a good note of De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox is really good. Thank you for listening to the Eastman Sport Report, and we'll see you guys next time.